A very pleasant good morning, everybody, wherever you may be. Chris Brooks with you this morning on the 615 Prep Scoreboard presented by Fifth Year Technology Concepts. Let's bring everybody else. Joe, Scott, Cam, gentlemen, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We survived Friday the 13th. So, I mean, that's first and foremost, it's a positive. So,
well, we did, but some people's playoff hopes may not have.
Exactly. We did see some interesting things last night from some of the scores that we're going to talk about shortly, Scott.
No, I was just saying, you said Friday the 13th. That makes today, Saturday the 14th, one of the most underrated Halloween movies of all time. Saturday the 14th.
Okay. All right.
Jeff Goldblum, stellar.
All right. Well, without further ado, let's dive right into some scores, shall we? Let's start with the backyard brawl over there in Murfreesboro. Riverdale, Will got the better of Matt in the Kreisky Bowl, 55-28. The Warriors get that win, improve to 6-2, and stay unbeaten in region play.
Yeah, Riverdale's cresting it at the right time, guys. Braden Graham, another great night, 314 yards passing, 5 touchdowns. But the big news, I think, out of that is that DJ Taylor is back. So their running game. So they get another weapon back in 5 weeks. This Riverdale team is just, if they can keep it going, they're a real threat in that region.
Yeah, sort of what we talked about this week on the show. We felt like if Blackman was to get down a few scores, they would really have a hard time coming back. And ultimately, that's what happened in this one. And to put up 55 points, and this Riverdale offense just seems to be on a roll right now. Huge matchup in 2 weeks, guys. Huge.
Yeah. But speaking of huge, though, Blackman's got a huge one next week for Rockville, too, because that's going to be for third place in that region. And the Blaze, we're going to want to bounce back quickly and get ready for that one. Blackman now 3-5 with that loss, 1-2 in region play. They'll travel to Rockville next week for that big game. Riverdale 6-2 overall, 3-0 in region play, and they're at Siegel next week.
Big game.
Clay County has no trouble Red Bowling Springs, 49-16 in that one. And we talked about this Bulldog team trying to make some strides in region play. Didn't quite happen for them, and they're going to be at least third or fourth place in that region as a result of this loss. They're 0-2 in region play, 4-4 overall. And Clay County now gets ready for their game against Gordonsville in 2 weeks.
You confused me. I was looking at the wrong Bulldogs.
Tend to forget that they're both Bulldogs. But,
So we thought that Red Bowling may be outmatched against Gordonsville and Clay County, and that proved to be true. But really for the Bulldogs, with the success that they've had this year, we've really had that Joe Burns game in Week 11 circled as a possible win for Red Bowling. And if that happens, Red Bowling it'll be the first time that Red Bowling will not be the 4 seed going into the playoffs. That also means they avoid South Pittsburgh. So that's a huge deal for them.
Yep. Yeah. Clay County travels to Trousdale County next week. Red Bowling Springs also hits the road, and they'll be at Community in week number 10. Oakland, no trouble with Coffee County, 42-0. The Patriots now 7-1 with that win. Non-region game for the Patriots next week. They're at Ravenwood.
Well, the Patriots defense really stood up in this one. They only allowed 5 first downs, 59 yards of total offense, no third down conversions at all for Coffee County in this game. In fact, Coffee County didn't get to the red zone a single time. Corey Smith with a big night, couple sacks.
Yeah, the Patriots keep rolling. They're 7-1, and then they think it's 6 straight wins for them now, and they're at Ravenwood next week in that non-region bout. Coffee County falls to 1-7 with that loss. Station Camp in a big one in Region 5 for a 43-9 winners over Creekwood. The Bison get that critical third region win and the inside track on third place in that region.
Station Camp probably was the better team offensively here, but I mean, this score, when we saw it last night, Chris, it kind of shocked us both by how lopsided it was.
Yeah. Joe, you said it last week that this Station Camp team was the best 2-win team that you think you'd seen in that area, and it looks like that you were spot on with that assessment.
They're young. They're going to be really good. I mean, They got a
Yeah.
lot of pieces.
You said it, Joe. I mean, they're young in certain areas, but now that we're going into week 10, I mean, they've matured a lot this year, and have really had two really good leaders in Dickens and Ellis in the backfield to kind of keep things under control. I know Dickens was out for a couple games, but he's back, and the Bison seem poised to make the playoffs and maybe make some noise in it.
Yeah, they will solidify that number 3 seed with a win next week against Montgomery Central or a White House loss to Pearl Cone, which should put them in the number 3 seed as well. Gallatin 37-6 winners at Wilson Central, the Green Wave. Here's an odd stat for you guys. They're 0-3 at home. They're 5-0 on the road.
Wow.
Road Warriors.
But it's an important region win, though. Number 3 for them in a region where they're now probably going to have to play for their playoff lives in 2 weeks.
Had a big night out as a Cayenne Brinkley. He had 12 carries and 147 yards and 2 scores in the first half. Bad news is that he went down with an injury. Reports that we have is that it's not incredibly serious, but one thing you don't want to see if you're the Green Wave and you're playing as well as they've been playing. They rushed for 216 yards in this game, and they held Wilson Central, which we knew Wilson was going to have to run the ball.
Wilson Central 0-4 in region play, and their playoff hopes are now gone with that loss. They fall to 3-5 overall. They've actually lost 5 straight since that 3-0 start. Gallatin at 5-3, 3-2 region play. They're at Springfield next week in a non-region contest, but they're going to be scoreboard watching because if that Green Hill Cookville game ends with Cookville winning, then that means their game against Lebanon in 2 weeks is winning in.
Well.
Now, Juliet Christian gets their 3rd win of the season, 21-13 over Glencliff, and the Saints now 3-5. Glencliff, a tough loss for them, 2-6 overall now.
Yeah, that hurts them. I mean, it's a non-region game, but this was one of the games I think they had circled as a game that they could do well in. But hey, kudos to Mount Juliet Christian. Get out there and getting it done. They are improving. Their numbers don't help them, but to get out there and beat a Glencliff team, and be 3-5 this year, that program's on the upswing.
One thing from Mount Juliet Christian here, next week they're at home against Columbia Academy. The week after that, they're going to play Clarksville Academy. Both those teams are winless in region play. The winner's getting in the playoffs in that game.
Oh, wow.
So because it's the top 5 that go from that region to the postseason in Division II Class Single A. Watertown big winners over Grundy County, 48-6, now 3-5 on the year. But more importantly, get that first region win.
Yeah, Watertown's got a young quarterback that they're starting now, and the Purple Tigers really started to figure. I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but they've figured it out offensively. And if you got a freshman starting now doing this, it's a good sign for the future.
Yep. They've got a non-region game against Macon County next week. They will play Community in 2 weeks to solidify a playoff spot, but they took a big step forward last night with that win. Dixon County did the same, 31-12 over Kenwood. The Cougars now 4-4 on the season, 3-2 in region play, while Kenwood drops to 2-6 overall, 2-3 in region 7-6A.
Yeah, definitely interested to see the stat line on this one when we get it. It's this game. I expected this game to be a lot closer than it was, but Dixon County comes out and takes care of business.
Big news for them in the playoff race. They're now number 3 in that region. They've got West Creek next week, and we've pretty much locked that spot up for them with a win. Kenwood has Kirkwood and Rossview the final 2 weeks of the season, so their playoff hopes took a big hit last night. LaVergne knocks off Green Hill in overtime, 27-24. Probably the surprise of the night, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even remotely close, I think.
Probably to anybody that wasn't tied to the LaVergne program.
Right.
And congratulations. congratulations to the Wolverines for going into a hostile environment and taking care of business.
Yeah. Green Hill had a kick to win the game at the end of regulation and missed it in the extra session. The Wolverines find the end zone while Green Hill had to settle for a field goal, and that's kind of the difference there. Congratulations to Coach Woodward and the Wolverines.
Yeah, quarterback Dominic Jones, who's a converted wide receiver, had a big night, 80-yard touchdown strike, but it was a 10-yard toss to Eric Pitts in overtime. Like you said, Chris, Green Hill was forced to kick a field goal. LaVergne on the first play gets that 10-yard pass and stuns, the mid-state.
What a weird night in Wilson County. Good Lord.
Yeah, we're about to see how weird it got. Green Hill's the next week.
A weird night in Wilson County. It sounds like a B movie.
On October the 13th, too, of all nights.
Yeah, well, Green Hill's got to bounce back quickly. That game in Cookeville means a lot now next week. And LaVergne, 3-5, will be at home against Stewart's Creek. Speaking of weird night in Wilson County, let's fire up some of those highlights. Joe, you and I were over at Mount Juliet for that rivalry game with Lebanon. Tale of two halves in this one, and we'll fire these highlights up for you.
Just a wild night. Lebanon actually gets the scoring going on their first drive of the night. Then tip pass, pick six immediately on the next play. I mean, literally nothing going right for Mount Juliet to start this one. They finally get going on their next drive, though. Harrison Edwards, he'll find a hole, and he's gone. You're not catching him. Simple as that. When he finds open room, he's out of there. But Lebanon, immediately, with an answer of their own on the next drive, set up by a big reception. You got Guyan Azita here, who punches it in from a yard out to put Lebanon up 21-7. We didn't get... Oh, we had a blocked field goal here, too. There were two blocked special teams plays. Lebanon led 28-7 at the half. Mount Juliet's defense held their own, though, and they finally got them in a good scoring position. Tyler Travers here makes it 28-14 midway through the third quarter, and this is where it gets kind of crazy. Mount Juliet scored again. They get the touchdown here to make it a 2-point game. Then the 2-point conversion here and that's Tyler Travers, actually. Sorry. That's the game-winning touchdown. This was the 2-point conversion. Just a great play call, though, honestly.
You got a double pass?
Double pass. Again, Scott, a double pass. And here's the play that sealed there's Travers' touchdown.
Yeah, you did see it twice.
Here's the defensive play that set it up, though. Just a lot of hats to the ball there. Trey Redmond comes up with the fumble recovery, and the celebration's on. Just a wild, wild night.
What's going on, guys? It's Joe with 615 Preps here with Atticus Fiorita following Mount Juliet's kind of improbable 38-31 come from behind double overtime victory. Can add so many words onto it because, man, what a game. Talk to me a little bit about the defense. Obviously, in the first half, they put up 21 points on, they got the defensive touchdown. What changed in the second half?
We kind of got rid of all the stuff we had done this week, and we went back to playing our basic stuff, just playing Mount Juliet-style defense, and it ended up working for us.
You guys really shut them down there in the second. I think they only had 3 points the entire second half in that overtime. How important is this? Obviously, battle Wilson County teams. You got Green Hill in a couple weeks to really solidify. You guys are the kings of Wilson County, but you got the win tonight. How big is this?
This is really big because I think this strengthened our team, and this being down 21 and coming back from that is huge for any team, especially for us, because people saying we can't finish games. We didn't really start this one very well, but we sure as heck finished it really well, and that was a great ending for us.
I was about to say, I've seen some games where you guys get up big, teams crawl their way back into it, and you can find a way to shut it out. Just what was so different about tonight, especially in the second half?
I think it was more, we all trusted each other. At the very first, in the first half, we were kind of bickering about each other, and then we were all just like, okay, that's enough. We're going to take it one play at a time, and we did that, and it really worked. And we played our type of ball.
What was Coach's message to you guys at halftime? The censored version, right?
Play with pride. Don't give up on the game because there's still 24 minutes left, and we did that, and we won.
what's going through your mind there when they have that third down attempt in second overtime period, and you see your guys streaking down the field?
Oh my God, I was right there with him. I was running down the sideline. Oh man, I almost ran up to the locker room and passed out. Holy crap, that was, man, if you know about heart racing, oh my gosh. Man, my heart was beating out of my chest. Still is.
Big win, big come from behind win. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
1-5 Preps here with Harrison Edwards following Mount Juliet. It's just incredible come from behind double overtime win over Lebanon. Battle, Wilson County, you guys come out on top.
Yes, sir.
Talk to me about what's going through your mind there in the last couple minutes of regulation, then in overtime.
I was like, I want to win. We done came back. We better score.
You broke off a couple of big runs there to set up that game-tying field goal. Just what's your mindset there in the last couple minutes?
I was like, I want to win this game bad. They beat us 2 years in a row, and I wanted this win so bad.
I was gonna ask you.
I knew we could do it too.
I was gonna ask you. Last year they got you guys pretty good at their own plays. What's Coach's message at halftime? You guys are down 28-7. What's his message?
He was like 0-0 at halftime. So that's what we did. We did 0-0. Like they didn't score their points.
Obviously, Tyler gets in the end zone there to put you guys up. When you see your guys running down the field that way, though, what's going through your mind?
I was running down there with them. I cramped up, but I was running down there with them.
How big is this win going forward? Obviously, Green Hill in a couple of weeks.
It's a big win, and it should be like that we here, MJ here, we mean it.
Hey man, congratulations.
Yes, sir.
What a ball game. I mean, you said something poignant in your post-game huddle, 100 years of Mount Juliet football, and if you had something to say about it that they remember for the next 100, what did tonight mean for this program?
Well, everything. I mean, we put a lot into everything we do. I mean, these are still 14 to 17-year-old kids. I said a minute ago, sometimes you can want something too much, and I challenged them before the game to play with emotion, but I feel like to some extent, and I am not taking anything away from Lebanon. They are a great football team, and they played great tonight. But obviously, so many self-inflicted things in the first half. The tip pass, pick six, the block punt for a touchdown, another tipped interception, drop passes, penalties on first down. And those are the type things that when you go into halftime, they're still teenagers, so you wonder where they're at. But I shouldn't have, because they came in at halftime. They said some of the things. I didn't have to say that much. Coaches made some adjustments, and we came out like a different football team in the second half.
We talk about momentum all the time. Where did you kind of feel it start to turn?
I felt like even in the third quarter when we didn't finish on some of those drives, our defense came back out, got off the field quickly, and got us the ball back, because the way we play now with our tempo, we're not going to panic. And that's one thing I tried to really get across at halftime. Do not try to make up 21 points with one drive, right? We go fast, all right? So the tempo is going to take care of itself. We've just got to get some drive stops and some drive starters. And that was another big thing, too. In the second half and in overtime, I felt like our first down stuff was so much better.
Obviously, the rivalry being what it is, and to play a game like that against Lebanon, I mean, A, how cool is it, and B, how stressful is it?
Let's start with B. I feel like I'm 100 years old. But that's what makes this great game the greatest game on the planet, and people like you guys awesome for covering it, because it's pure. I mean, at the end of the day, these kids still got to get up and go to class and do those things the next week, and they got girlfriends to think about and after-school jobs and all those things, but they pour their heart out. I don't want to say on just Friday nights, like 6 days a week for us, about 350 days a year, and I couldn't be more proud of them.
Coach, it's a great win. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you.
I'm disappointed.
What a night.
I'm disappointed, Chris. I wanted to know, after Joe asked if the other guys were running down the field, did Trey run down the field?
No. I'll cover on that one, because remember, I talked to him after the Gallatin game. He said he needed to do more cardio, and then I asked him again, have you done that cardio? He said, obviously not, because I'm still feeling it. Those were his words after we shut the cameras off. So, but
Well,
What a
then
win.
I'm not disappointed. Thank you, Chris, for asking the questions that needed to be asked.
There you go. What a win for Mount Juliet, though. But my question for Lebanon is this: how do they bounce back from this? Their maturity is going to be tested next week because Hendersonville's coming in there. You know, it's a non-region game. They can't be thinking ahead to week number 11 because they've got to recover from this loss first.
This game reminded me. This game reminded me a lot of Mount Juliet's loss to Station Camp a couple of years ago. In that game, they got up big. Station Camp came back, forced overtime, and then Mount Juliet's season kind of derailed after that. They didn't win a game for the rest of the year. Well, you take last year into account where they bounced back. They had a better year. They obviously lose the game to Lebanon 27-7. Then last night just showed that how far they've come since that Station Camp loss. Well, Lebanon doesn't have that luxury right now. They have to win these next 2 weeks. So it's going to test their maturity a lot, but I think this team is really, really good. Key Crowell's really good defensively. They got some studs, and I really like their special teams. You get 2 blocks, you're gonna make a fan out of me.
Yeah.
Scott, they did kind of what I told you last week, where I like to see where a high school football team send an all-out blitz or send an all-out block when the other team's on their 5 or whatever. They did that to perfection last night, and that's how they got their touchdown that put them up 28-7. So yeah, it's a big test for Lebanon, but a little more on Mount Juliet defensively. I know Lebanon put up 28 points in the first half. Only 2 of those touchdowns were scored on the Mount Juliet defense. Golden Bears were fantastic defensively last night. They gave up a couple of long completions, but in that second half, they looked like a team just rejuvenated. And let me tell you, Atticus, we talk about Eric Hazard is one of the best defensive juniors in the state. Atticus is right there with him. Yeah. Those guys are absolute dudes. And last night, he had a couple of big plays.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think for Lebanon, they have to forget this game. I mean, they cannot dwell on it. It has to, there's times after the season to look at this game and break it down and things like this. I think at this point, kicking yourself or thinking about what could have been, should have been, that doesn't do you no good. I think that this game has got to be immediately in the rearview mirror, and you just turn and focus on the next one and forget this game ever happened. For Mount Juliet, they kind of have to do the same thing, I think. I think they've got to enjoy it today. Enjoy it today, but then they've got to put it in their rearview mirror. It's a big win, and this focus. And knowing both of these coaches, I have a feeling that is exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, that game next week against Hendersonville, I know it's not a region game, but we talk about how big it is. And as Joe said, it's probably a must-win because if they beat Gallatin, you still could end up with some tiebreakers going on. And first tiebreaker is overall record. So that is definitely an important game for the Blue Devils next week. But man, what about the resolve of this Mount Juliet team? It's been a few weeks since they've been in a real close competitive game, and the first couple of weeks against Cane Ridge and against Gallatin, we questioned their finish, their finishing ability. They struggled to finish the game on a strong suit, and to get down like that and to be able to come back and win a game that's a must win. If they lose that game, guys, their path to a region championship is very, very scarce. So that was a huge game for Mount Juliet and sets them up for a good spot if they can beat Green Hill in week 11.
Watch out wherever Joe goes next week.
Well, I think at this point, I mean Mount Juliet Green Hill is for the region title at this point, correct? Like
it would be, yeah.
It is now, yes. If
unless Cookville beats Green Hill. If Cookville beats Green Hill, Mount Juliet clinches automatically.
Yeah.
Correct. If Mount Juliet would have lost last night, that would have gave Mount Juliet a loss. Green Hill would still have one loss, and Lebanon would have one loss. If Lebanon beats Gallatin in week 11, and that would be a three-way tie there, then it would go to overall record for
go back to Mount Juliet.
Yeah.
Strangest region in our area by far.
It's going to be fun to follow.
Well, say that, but the Antioch region too. So
yeah. And then Mount Juliet's going to Franklin next week, so they definitely need to put that in the rearview mirror because Franklin's been playing everybody tough this year. Lebanon at home against Hendersonville. They're 5-2 overall, 3-1 in region play, and we need to move on. Rockville. Looks like the good Rockville showed up. 35-14 winners over Pope Prep on a night where they put it all together.
Yeah. Mayhew had a good night, throwing a couple scores, but the defense did an outstanding job. Got some picks from against Pope Prep. Pope made some mistakes, and Rockville made him pay.
Yeah, there's two different type of teams that come out of fall breaks, and one team comes out, not necessarily in this situation, but, one team, you're either going to get a team that's extremely focused and well-rested and ready to go, and then you're going to get a team that has lost their momentum that they had before the break and kind of stutters out of the gate, and unfortunately for the Knights, that's kind of what happened in this one.
Are you saying that you either come out as Kenny Chesney's Boys of Fall or Kenny Chesney's no shoes, no shirt, no problem?
Scott, I wish I was as awake as you are right now.
Yeah, I don't think enough coffee would get me to that point.
That was a great.
We did get home a little bit earlier than y'all. I got home before that.
Our game, we didn't leave till 10:30 last night, man.
No.
It was.
Yeah, no. Chris called me from the parking lot. I was already almost home.
It was 20 minutes to get out of the parking lot, though.
Yeah.
And it was nearly 11:30 when I finally got back to South Nashville. So, yeah, it was a long night. But,
That was a great analogy, though, Scott. Well done.
Yeah, Rockville gets that big win, improves to 4-4. They've got that massive region game against Blackman next week. Pope Prep will try to rebound with a non-region tilt against Chattanooga Christian as the Knights fall to 3-5 with that loss. Hendersonville, no trouble with Portland, 39-0. The Commandos now get their 6th win of the year, and Portland falls to 1-7 with a loss.
Just a season Portland probably wants to forget at this point. But good for Hendersonville. I mean, that's a great showing. I know they kind of struggled offensively these last couple of weeks. That's a big one going into Lebanon next week.
If I'm the Region 8 2 seed, I'm not a very happy camper at this point because they're going to get a Hendersonville team that is extremely dangerous, especially on the offensive side of the ball with Mason Baker and the Jordan twins. This Hendersonville team may not be quite to the caliber of Beach and to Henry County, but they're still dangerous. Anytime you can put up points in a hurry, I wouldn't want to play them.
Yeah, Portland's young, new coach, new system, graduated a lot of kids. It's just a rough year for them, but give this team about 3 years, and I think the story changes.
Yep. Hendersonville still has to play Henry County in that Week 11 matchup too. If they can win out, that region's theirs.
Yep.
So something for the Commandos to look forward to the last 2 weeks of the season. Liberty Creek, no trouble with Republic, 57-0 for the Wolves. They improved to 4-4 on the season, while Republic still winless in the 2023 campaign.
Yeah, another huge night from Brian Rager is, one of our show's friends, and Chris Freeman is starting the Rager for Mr. Football talk, and I think it's definitely worthy. I mean, when you look at his numbers and what he's been able to do at Liberty Creek, I mean, especially in our area, he's carried that team. So another good night for him and Liberty Creek. Believe with that win, right? That's their last region game. So they have
one left. They have one left.
Okay.
Yeah, they've got Maplewood left in Week 11. Still looking at the number 2 seed, but then Stratford and East Nashville have to play each other as well. Week 11, so it's not quite determined in that region just yet. Beach, no problem with Siegel, 48-10. Buccaneers improved to 4-4, while the Stars dropped to 4-4.
Well, we knew whoever was going to play the Bucks this week was going to get their best, and it looks like the Stars were the sacrificial lambs in this particular case. This game wasn't even. I don't think it was ever in doubt. Beach goes for 21 in the second quarter, goes in 30. I think it's 35-10 at the half. Seal gets a touchdown with 49 seconds left in the first half, and Beach goes back and gets it back with 2 seconds left. I mean, that's the kind of team that you're facing. Good night from Caden Powell. He had 179 yards, easy for you to say, and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, last week, Scott, we saw just how quick this Beach team can score, and I think they are really figuring out what they need to do offensively. And I think Caden Powell is really starting to adjust from, last year he was playing 2A ball or 3A ball. Now he's in 5A ball, and I think he's really starting to figure it out because I would argue these last 2 weeks have been his best of the season.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, I would agree. And, great performance from Beach, but this Seagull team, I think they're still maybe reeling a little bit from losing Thomas Santel a couple of weeks ago, and definitely struggling on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and it's not going to get any easier as they've got Riverdale coming in next week in a key region game, and if their playoff hopes are going to ride on, winning one of their last 2 games, and they've got to bounce back quickly from this loss. Beach, on the other hand, travels to Hunters Lane in region play next week, and we'll try to get above 500. Smyrna knocks off Stewart's Creek 19-18, and the Bulldogs put themselves in a position to where next week's showdown at Antioch is for region title.
Who would have thought that at the beginning of the year, right?
Right?
Yeah.
I hate to toot my own horn, but Wednesday night, what did I say the magic number was? 20.
20.
And if they would have scored 20, they would have won. The story continues for this Smyrna team. Lost their first 4, have won their last 4. Defensively, they're just about as good as you're going to find in our area, led by Thomas Jones in the secondary. And offensively, they've just been able to do enough, the last few weeks. So this Bulldog team is definitely peaking at the right time.
Yeah, Cam, you said it. The defense has been stellar. They held Otay to 68 yards rushing in this game. And we also said that the Redhawks couldn't turn the ball over. Bulldogs get 2 interceptions on the night. One's a 50-yard pick 6 by Karsten Matthews, and the other one by Michael Robinson with less than a minute to go basically clinched the game. So the Smyrna Bulldogs defense has been pulling them along, and they are doing, guys. They remind me a lot of the of Trent Dilfer's Ravens team, where the defense carried them and the offense did just enough to win games and not lose them.
So you're saying Thomas Jones is Ed Reed?
Yes, I would. Yeah, I would say that. Yes.
I that's not me making fun at all. I mean, that's a decent comparison. I mean,
that's a pretty good company to be mentioned with.
Yeah, but as the value of the team, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the deal with Stewart's Creek is this: they fall into a 3-way tie for 3rd place in Region 5 of Class 6A with Cane Ridge and LaVergne. They've got to play LaVergne and McGavock the last 2 weeks. Cane Ridge has McGavock and Smyrna to play. LaVergne has Stewart's Creek and Antioch. So interesting times in this region. We know Smyrna and Antioch are going to play for first next week, but that number 3 and 4 seed are very much up for grabs. Stewart's Creek 5-3 with that loss. Smyrna back up to 4-4. This game was tied at halftime. White House and Upperman were not at the 14, but the Bees pull it out in the second half, 28-14 to stay unbeaten and go to 8-0.
Yeah, I was a jerk. I just want to say that. I said Upperman would win by as many as they wanted. The other night when we were asked about it, I was a jerk. I'm a fool. That was the most apology you'll get out of me for this one. Good showing for White House, but Upperman just a little too much. I think Upperman needed this sort of game though. They've been blowing a lot of teams out. They've had a couple close games, but they needed this sort of game as they head into the postseason here in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I said I hate to do it, but I'm just going to go choo just a little bit because I did pick Upperman by 2 scores in this one. Anytime you go play at White House, that's just a really tough place to go, and that's a long bus ride for Upperman. Ultimately, the demise for the Blue Devils was big plays. You know, they gave up too many big plays. I know they scored to open the game and got up 7-0, And I believe the second play for Upperman was a 76-yard touchdown pass.
Yep.
And, you can't afford for that to happen against a team as talented as Upperman is. But a very respectable, good showing. And like I said, that's a tough place to go play. And as you said, Joe, it should serve Upperman well, especially as they get prepared for the playoffs. They got a huge game next week against Stone Memorial that's more than likely going to determine the region champion there in Region 4, 4A, unless Stone is able to win and then make and beat Stone in Week 11, which would cause chaos, as we like to say on our show.
Chaos.
Yeah, they're going to go as far as their defense, and Bronston Chaffin takes them. You know, the 6'3" sophomore had 3 scores last night, but the defense stood up, like you said. I don't think they allowed a first down until late in the game in the second half. After of course the second half started. So big night for the Bees. Tough loss for the White House, but I think they'll bounce back from that.
What a brutal stretch for White House, though. Goodness, Upperman and then Pearl.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
They will be prepared for the postseason for sure, and provided they get there. Gonna toot the horn just a little bit because I called 24-10 on Wednesday night, so wasn't far off. So
yeah, I called
mini toot.
Clap.
I called 28-13 if I remember right. That's what I did.
We'll have to.
I think it was 35-10, Joe.
Shut up.
Have to go back and check the tape on that one.
I don't think I offered a score.
We have the luxury of instant replay, Joe. But
and so does everybody.
Yeah.
Except the Tito. Never mind.
Shots fired.
Saying the quiet part out loud. I like it. White House falls to 5-3 with that loss, and like Joe said, it's brutal. They're visiting Pearl Cone next week on that turf against the unbeaten Firebirds. Good Pasture did pretty much what most teams have done to Webb School this year and blow them out. 67-21. Big win for the Cougars. They're first in region play, too. It keeps them alive for a postseason bid.
Yeah. A really good offensive showing for Good Pasture. They've had a rough year. Coach Cotton is, he's building a program there. It's going to take some time, but this kind of victory shows some good results on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, they're not out of the woods yet as far as the playoffs are concerned. They're in the number 5 seed right now, which is as many as they'll take from that middle region in Division 2 AA. Still have Davidson Academy and BGA to play, so it's not necessarily in for Good Pasture yet. They've still got work to do. Smith County did work against Westmoreland 27-0 as the Owls go into their open dates with a 7-2 mark.
Yeah, my understanding is it was a really physical game, but Smith County did really well. Kind of got chippy at the end. Maybe some repercussions come out of that once we get all the full story and all that. But Smith County, pretty much does what we expect them to. Their offense is just, two good defensive teams, but their offense is really starting to click.
Westmoreland now 3-5 with that loss. They are at home against Portland in a non-region contest next week. We talked about how it was a weird night in Wilson County, guys. Cam, Scott, you're up next with York Institute and Friendship Christian.
Yeah, kind of a charged atmosphere in this one. Both teams really close matchup, good defenses. Here's a pick early when Friendship was really driving. Luke Sellers on the
broken his ankles. Good Lord.
Yeah. Here's Tyson Walcott. This was right after a fumble by York inside the 10. That was the best opportunity that Friendship had to score most of the night.
That's Tim.
Yeah. This sets up a short field.
That was at the wasn't able to convert.
Right.
And then that's a 4th and 2 Tyson Walcott stuff. Later on that drive, quarterback Miles Lafuse goes in And as I called it, they lined up for the extra point, but had some trickery as Bryce and Bilbrey slipped out. They go up 8-7. Friendship with a 27-yard field goal attempt. Trouble getting the hold down. As you heard, off the upright, and York was able to get a last stand with a minute and a half to go, and York was able to finish this one 8-7.
This was kind of it was an equal effort basically on both sides, but the difference was turnovers and mistakes and where they happened. As we told you, York Institute fumbles ball inside the 10, sets up Friendship for that 1-yard run by Tyson Walcott. And then on their scoring drive, there were, I think, 4 penalties, defensive penalties that extended the drive that got them first and goal on the 2, which allowed Leffie to score. And then, I'm going to give Cam props here. I'm going to give Cam. I don't do it often, but I'm going to give Cam props here. Cam told me right before it happened, he said, they're going for 2. And that wasn't a mistake. That wasn't a fire drill. That ball never did even touch the tee. That was a called pass from one of my favorite names, Lake Drake, who made the throw to Bison Brilbrey for the 2-pointer.
No shot. That's his name. That's amazing.
I'm telling you. And, truth, it was really kind of, it was a tough game. Tyson Walcott had another, 100-yard rushing game, but he had 32 carries, 121 yards. That's how good this York defense was. He had to have 32 carries to get 121 yards. They ran that. Friendship ran 53 offensive plays, and Tyson carried the ball on 32 of them. That's 60% of the plays went to Walcott.
Yeah, it was honestly a very sound performance by both defenses. I mean, I thought both defenses were really good. It's kind of what we expected. But I mean, the turnover, the botch snap where York gave Friendship the ball inside the 10. If he does not botch the snap, they had a wheel route and there was nobody within 30 yards of the guy. It would have probably been a touchdown for York if the snap is not dropped. And then, if Friendship's able to get that hold down on that field goal, I feel pretty confident that Landon Williams would have knocked that through, as he kind of had to rush his kick and still, clanked it off the upright. But this York team is the real deal. They're the number 1 team in the Associated Press rankings in 2A. And, I was talking with some coaches before the game and whatnot, and, they're not big. They're not extremely fast. The word, they're gritty as hell is exactly what was said. And that's pretty much what we saw last night. They're undersized. Friendship was quite a bit bigger than them. And, they showed a lot of heart, a lot of determination. And as as Scott said, they're the type of team that when they get their opportunity, they want to be in control of the outcome. And that's why ultimately they went for 2, because they knew if that may be their only chance to get down there. So why not to take a chance to try to win it?
Yeah. And just going back, their defense, the difference that I saw is Friendship kept going back because eventually you think Walcott's going to break one. I mean, I don't know how many times he extended plays, took 2-3 hits, but their linebackers and defensive backs filled. They didn't allow him to get very often to the second level and never past the linebackers. They were able to contain that and keep man on the outside on the receivers, which allowed them to. They're just, as as the coaches said and Cam so eloquently put, gritty. They're gritty as hell.
I think in a year where 2A there's no clear-cut favorite last year, whereas Tyner, I think pretty early in the year we knew Tyner was going to be the team to beat in 2A. This year, you got a couple teams out west that are really good. You've got Smith County. You got East Robertson, which I think still has the talent to make a deep postseason run. But you got a team like York that can find ways to win games like this. I mean, that's why they're the number one team in 2A right now. That's a huge win on the. If it was at home and you're like, man, they struggled at home to do this. They went on the road, a long bus trip to Friendship Christian, and came out with this sort of win. I think that defense kind of proved that they're the real deal. They've done it 2 weeks straight now, where they've shut down high scoring offenses. Last week against Stone, and then this week against Friendship. So it's a really impressive win for the Dragons.
I heard one of the players saying, "I'm gonna go back on the bus. My parents wouldn't drive all the way to Lebanon for this."
Yeah, and I also want to shout out. He actually wound up catching the 2-point conversion, but I had to go up to him after the game and congratulate him and tell him how good of a leader he is. But Bryson Bilbrey is the heart and soul of that York Institute team. You talk about a leader, man, and there, at one point, there was a lineman that got fired up and got a penalty, and Bryson told him to get off the field. he told him to get off the field. The coach didn't tell him to get out. The leader did, and he told him to get out in a way that, sometimes players get mad at other players, but he told him, he said, get off the field. You're better than that. And, that's the mark of a true leader.
Friendship Christian's going to have to bounce back quickly. They've got Ezel Harding at home next week in region play, and then they'll finish up with a game against Kings Academy. So they've got some region business to take care of in the final 2 weeks of the season. But tough loss for the Commanders, who fall 6-2 with that defeat. All right, as it was a very short week this week, we're already on to the out-of-area scores. Cascade 28-22 winners over Cannon County. Loretto took care of Eagleville 48-21. McCauley 40-10 winners over Father Ryan. Lipscomb Academy gets a 33-10 win at Knoxville Catholic, while Middle Tennessee Christian wins 47-7 at the Kings Academy. Guys, thoughts on these games real quick?
Well, looking at the Middle Tennessee Christian game, once again the defense shines. Cougars allowed 102 yards total offense, got 3 turnovers, 6 tackles for loss, and 4 sacks. Brooks Jones was 11 tackle sacks. They had 442 yards on the ground. I think 3 of their backs exceeded 100 yards rushing. So just a dominant performance for the Cougars.
I'll go to Lipscomb Academy. Let me give a big shout out to Caleb Beasley. I actually saw his dad yesterday while I was working. He was at Walmart. We chopped it up a little bit, talked about last night, or previewed last night's game a little bit, what he expected, and his boy came out and balled out last night, guys. 2 defensive touchdowns, or he had 2 touchdowns on the night. He had 2 interceptions. He returned a blocked punt for a touchdown, or blocked field goal for a touchdown. Then he had a receiving touchdown. So huge win for Lipscomb Academy, bouncing back from last week's just shocking loss to NBA, really. That's sort of when they need. I know they got McCauley here in a couple of weeks, but this team's traveled so much this year. I didn't even realize it. I mean, they go down to Alabama. They've gone down to Chattanooga. They're going to have to go down to Chattanooga twice. They're going to Knoxville. I believe they had to go to Memphis. I mean, good Lord, how much have they traveled?
Hey, Joe, you talk to Caleb's dad. You ain't trying to recruit him, are you?
No
Don't
comment.
you do that. No, Caleb.
Cam, we need offense right now.
Well, they did catch a touchdown pass.
Yeah.
There's that, yeah.
Stay at home, Caleb. The game I'm going to go to, man, the Father Ryan slide continues, there. But, I mean, we said it last week, Division II AAA, and me and Scott was talking about this last night, man, that playoff is going to be a disaster. I mean, it's going to be so hard to pick them just because every team is talented and every team has shown that they can win those big games, but every team has shown inconsistencies as well. So the saga continues in Division II AAA.
I may classify that as a beautiful disaster because let's face it, that's the kind of chaos that you want in the postseason where anything can happen, and we don't know necessarily who's going to come out of it alive. And that's the mark of, I guess it's a mark of good football. Honestly, I mean, if it's all the way around, or maybe all, I won't say mediocre, but good to not great.
Right.
But all right, two more to talk about real quick. Fayetteville 49-37 winners over Nashville Christian, and Charleston County 28-0 winners at Monterey. I know Cole Gregory had a big night for Charleston County.
Yeah, huge night. Was questionable on it, how much he would be able to go, and the senior does what he does. He's a dog. You know, we talk about maybe introducing that kind of award to our show, but he's an absolute dog. The dude's got a double sprain in his non-throwing thumb, and he goes out and he rushes 23 times for 197 yards, 2 touchdowns. He was 12 of 16 passing for 190 yards and 2 touchdowns. Had 12 tackles on defense and an interception at the end of the first half to keep it 7-0 at the time. Guys, he's a 4-year starter. You know, he's an all-state caliber linebacker, and this year he's been asked to do something he has never done, and that's play quarterback. And he's been able to do it to this point. And as you see in my headline there, 35 or is it 36, and barring some crazy stuff happening here over the next 2 weeks, that win last night definitely has the Jackets in a favorable spot to make it 36 in a row.
Yeah, the only thing that would derail that is if Monterey was to somehow beat Smith County in Week 11.
Tragic you didn't pick him, Cam.
I know I was a week early, but my apology may be a little bit easier this week than y'all's.
Yeah, Fayetteville. I mean, we said Fayetteville Nashville Christian was going to be a shootout, and it was. I mean, you had 2 really good quarterbacks going at it. Jared Curtis threw for almost 400 yards and 4 touchdowns, but again, the Eagles' defense just not living up to their end of the deal there. Gave up quite too many points yet again, and Fayetteville took advantage of that. And I thought this Fayetteville team was better than its record showed. They had played a brutal schedule, and I think they're clicking at the right time. Nashville Christian, I think, is clicking too, but they got to figure out that defense.
Right.
It must be an Eagles thing between Nashville Christian and Brentwood Academy. They both have state championship caliber offenses with defenses that just struggle.
Yeah.
Yep, that sums it up. And that's it for the scoreboard this week with only 26 games, including area teams, and a little bit of a shorter show, but we'll have plenty to talk about next week on Mid-State 48 on Wednesday, and then we come back here next Saturday morning. We're gonna have a full complement of games to break down and discuss. So last word before we get out of here, guys. Joe, I'll start with you.
I need a game that ends in regulation. Last week I had Henry County Beach, and it was a great game. Deserved to go to overtime. Last week was especially that fourth quarter overtime period, double overtime. But that's what high school football is all about. It's fun. This is what it's supposed to be. I think Coach Perry said it best. It's pure. These are just kids, and they're going out and doing things that are pretty incredible on Friday night. So just another great game, just a great atmosphere in Mount Juliet yet again. And hope we keep it going next week when I'm pretty sure I'm back with Scott next week. And Scott, like I told you before the show, I'm sorry if we go into a triple overtime game next week.
That's okay. If it's a good game, I'm all for it. You said something important, Joe, and that was that you have to remember that these are kids, and with every high there comes a low. But that's what these kids live for, and we get to enjoy it from the outside looking in. But it is just wonderful to see a coach with so much emotion, with so much joy, as Trey Perry did, happy for his kids. And it's going to be equally as hard if you're on the other side of that. That's why, football in and of itself teaches so many great lessons. Some of them are harder to learn than others, but it's a great sport. It's a great lesson. And by gosh, at this time of year, it's just a whole heck of a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I got a couple things. Unfortunately, it's that time of the year again. There's going to be guys playing their last football games of their careers over the next couple of weeks, and it's definitely important that we keep that in mind when we go to these games. And there's a couple different ways that you can handle these situations, and it's important that you kind of think back to when your last game was, or your senior year when you were involved with the team, and how you felt, and how not only your fans but the opposing fans felt. So if you have a team coming in on the road in a playoff game or week 11 and it's a win or lose, and they come up on the short end of the stick, act accordingly, please. These are the last moments and memories that a kid will have of playing football, some of them. So keep that in mind. I also want to give a shout out to number 59 for Friendship Christian, Aaron Lane. He come up to me before the game. I just wanted to thank him for watching the show, and wish him good luck the rest of the season. So thanks for watching the show, Aaron, and hope y'all can rebound off of the loss last night.
I want to give a shout out to the crowd at Mount Juliet last night, both Lebanon and the Mount Juliet. Y'all brought it last night, man. Listen, my watch has a decibel meter that goes off if it goes over 90 decibels. It went off 3 times last night. It was that loud over there. That's the kind of atmosphere that was created in that environment last night at Mount Juliet. It was incredible. I've never had that happen. I've never had this watch go off once for decibel meters covering high school football ever. So that's how loud it was. That's how much fun it was last night. And yeah, tough loss for Lebanon, but listen, learn from that, take away the good things that you did in the first half, and then take those for the next 2 weeks, because there's still things in front of you that you guys can go get. And for Mount Juliet, man, they're going to give people problems in the postseason if they keep playing like that in the second half. So just a fun night all around, a great football game, one of the best I've ever covered, honestly. And what great way to end a short week for the schedule wise. And next week we get a full complement of games, and I'll be over at CPA as they take on FRA, and Joe and Scott are going to be over at Antioch for that huge matchup between the Bears and Smyrna.
Looking forward to that one.
All right, folks, thank you so much for watching the 615 Prep Scoreboard presented by Fifth Year Technology Concepts. We are out of here for the Saturday. Go enjoy the beautiful weather in the college football. We will talk to you on Wednesday, 7 p.m. on these same channels. And have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you soon.